I don't know about you, but I made some nice gains last week, and I have a feeling that it will continue this week. The week became just as expected very volatile, and we are still in very volatile markets where we will see huge swings intraday and also between the days and the week as such. Nasdaq fell, however, last week by 1.54% and is now at 12,145 points. Some weeks ago, I told you about the support around 12,600. If broken, it should fall very fast down. Now we are at the 12,000 support. Will this support hold? There is a few interesting things to notice about last week. Over the last 2 weeks, I've been saying I think that we might be close to a temporary bottom. If we look at the percentage last week, we can say that Nasdaq is falling at a slower pace overall than in the previous last 5 weeks. Dow Jones was only down 0.24%. The gains I made last week, they were based on two things. As I told you, I like to buy on red days. Of course, I bought a lot of shares on Friday, and I used green days to sell. But also the trading tips went very well. Amazon, Tesla, Amcar, all three of them braked in good gains, and Amcar is up a 10% gain so far. For this week, I will have a few trading tips as well. All you have to do is stay tuned. As usual, we will just quickly have to listen to a disclaimer. Then I will give you my insights, what I think will happen in the market the week ahead of us. There is a few key things that you really should know. A few quick analysis, and of course at the end, the trading tips. But first, the disclaimer.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the StockInvest.us weekly stock and crypto podcast. The podcast is hosted by StockInvest.us co-founder and Golden Star Signal inventor, Jim Stromberg, who has been actively trading since 1996. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit like and notification bell so you will be first to know when we post a new video. This podcast is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and other audio sources. Ensure you listen to the entire podcast so you don't miss out on some key tips needed for this week's strategy.
Welcome to StockInvest.us podcast. We remind you that trading involves a high risk of losing money, and that you should speak with a financial advisor before buying or selling any securities. You should not base your investment decision upon StockInvest.us. By using the information provided, you agree and are held liable for your own investment decisions.
As I told you last week, I will be out and traveling for a few weeks, and I'm very sorry if the sound quality is not optimal. A few other things, if you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, Google, Amazon, wherever, you can also watch the YouTube version. Well, you will see some charts and you will see some number that will help you by visualizing things a little bit more. So I recommend that. The other thing is, of course, I hope you will subscribe to the service, that you will subscribe to YouTube so you get the latest YouTube videos. And of course, I would appreciate it if you comment, because if you comment something, I will be able to answer questions, and I would love to answer more user questions in these podcasts. The third thing, of course, is that as a listener of this podcast, you will always be entitled for 50% subscription at StockInvest.us if you want all full services and the chart shown in the podcast. You simply type in podcast in the promo field, and that will enable you for a nice 50%. But enough commercial. We will do what we are here to do. Try to give an insight about what to expect from the market in the following week. Last week I was very thorough. It became more than 10 minutes. I will try to shorten it down this week. If you're a new listener, the thing that you have to understand, it's very hard to say what will the day be like on Tuesday, on Wednesday, and Thursday. You can have some sort of idea, but if you know some of the main key driving factors that may affect the week, it will be a little bit more easy. Trying to understand why the week will behave like it is. And week after week, I told you we are currently at this place where the buy and sell signals are extreme low. There is, for instance, across all tickers that we analyze, more than 30,000 tickers, it's only 13% buy signals. So what does this mean? It means that we are at a place where many people either have given up or close to giving up. And I try to explain to this, when signals are this low, it means volatility. It means that you will have these days. I told you about that we are heading for days with 4 to 5% losses, and that happened last week. Nasdaq was at some point more than 5% in loss. Still, we are very low. Last week it was 17% buy signal. This week it's even less. It's 13%. So I expect the same volatility. Markets are scared, and only small news can flip things very badly in the wrong direction. So what are some of the key things to look out for this week? One of them is Wednesday. I've been telling you about inflation for more than a year. I've been telling you how inflation will crawl upwards and eat markets downwards. And now they say that on Wednesday they will release new consumer price index numbers. How much are general prices increasing? And they say, well, it will go down from 8.5%, 12 months over 12 months, down to 8.1%. So they actually expect to see signs that inflation will cool down. It might be that they manage to somehow make the numbers fall this week, trying to calm the markets, and we know that interest rates are going up. But if you look across all Europe, and if you look about the big things that happen now, G7 countries have agreed to stop buying oil from Russia. And only one thing can happen. Energy prices will continue up. And I told you this, I believe oil will continue up. And last week it was up $4 for oil. So Wednesday will be very important, because if these numbers are very bad, the market should have a huge fall. If the numbers are somewhat good, let's say they manage actually to come in at 8.1% 12 months over 12 months, we should see a very strong reaction upwards in the markets, just because the markets are, as I said, very volatile. How can you trade in this market? Well, the best tricks is, as I said, over and over again, in volatile markets, you buy on very red days and you sell on green days. You don't want to sit over weekend. You may not even want to sit overnight, at least not fully exposure to market, because you may go to sleep with very nice gains one day just to wake up like other last week. Nasdaq being down 5% and all your gains is just totally vanished. So it's one of the very best tips. Buy on very red days when everyone is selling and market is down 3, 4, 5%. Just buy and sell on the green day. But most people, they live by the greed and fear. Just listen to my very first podcast where I explain this, how this works. It's very simple. When it's green, you just want more and you get too greedy. Same thing when things are falling too fast. You get too much fear and you don't use the chance to buy. Anyway, what are the things to look out for? Well, it's the Wednesday CPI numbers. They will be very important. On Friday, there will be some import prices. And I really don't know what to say, what to expect, because I personally think that the governments will try to hide inflation in best possible way. They might adjust some different indexes, measure a little bit different, trying to make numbers look better than they will be. I think it's a fair chance that inflation numbers will be somewhat the same, but with them oil prices being as high as they are, and we have countries like I told you last week, Lithuania, more than 14% inflation. We see that Great Britain have inflation going down, GDP going down, France the same. Across all the board, we see all the signs that this is by no means over. The other thing is that inflation will manifest in many other ways than just a number, because as inflation grows up, food prices, for instance, I just know these countries where I frequently visit or live. I can tell how much the food prices have gone up, and people will start saving. Some months ago, I gave you the bet that by end of April, in the beginning of May, we should start to see the first job numbers weakening, and I think we are exactly there. That will be the next big sign for you to look out for, because, as I said, I think all of this will end in stagflation and it will end in a recession. Anyway, it's a new week, and what will the week be like? So we know there are numbers coming on Wednesday. There will be a lot of Q-result numbers coming as well. I'll just mention a few. Maybe you find them interesting. But today, before markets open, we will have Palantir and Tyson Foods. After market, there will be famous AMC Entertainment. It's a very volatile stock. Yeah, Plug Power and Zynga. Even Novavax will be after market. So these are stocks that you can look into, see how they usually react before and after earning releases. And you can do that at StockInvest.us. Just go to the ticker and see earnings report. And you'll see how they usually behave before and after earning reports. Might give you an idea what will happen next. On Tuesday, there will be more. There will be Norwegian Cruise Line before markets open, Planet Fitness. After, there will be Roblox, a few oil companies, Coinbase will even be, and Electronic Arts. And it just continues on Wednesday. You will have aftermarket. Disney is maybe the one that most people are looking to. But I like Bumble. They will also be at Wednesday, and Rivian Automates and Beyond Meat. It's an very interesting small company. Beyond Meat will be after markets on Wednesday. Thursday, some more companies, but not really very exciting companies. So these are the things for the week ahead of us. StockInvest.us, as I said, we analyze more than 38,000 tickers. We give them a buy, sell, hold, and we can tell something about how much buy signals there are. And right now, as I told you, across all our tickers, there's only 13% buy signals. Nasdaq, only 7% buy signal, but this is the same as last week. New York Stock Exchange actually went up a little from 9 to 11. London stays at 20, Tokyo a little bit up at 28, and Shenzhen, China stays at 7. All of these are low, indicating that there should be a good buying opportunity. Oil remains at $108, up $4 since last week, and I just repeat myself, I think oil will just continue upwards. What does this mean? It means that energy prices will be higher. It means that inflation will be higher, but it also means that the oil company will continue to do good. And anyone that's been following me for a long time know that I have been buying oil shares. I bought when oil was 20. I started to buy a lot of oil shares because I thought oil would do very good, and very, very happy to see many of these companies are doing good, and I think they will hold extremely good if market continue down. Gold, little bit disappointing. It's down $17 last week, trading around 1,868. It's actually, I was expecting gold to, at this time, to be above 2,000, but as you see, gold is down to 1,868. And it's a lot of liquidation. People are selling, turning things into cash, but having cash in your bank doesn't help much with the inflation eating everything. The last number before we will look at the charts and we will give an indication of how the week will be is the 10-year Treasury yield. This measures the expectation for the interest rates 10 years ahead. And when it was 1 something, I told you this will just go up. And as it goes up, the market will go down. So keep an eye on this 10-year Treasury yield. And last week it was up 24 points or 7.62, currently at 3.12. And such an interesting thing, and you may wonder why repeat this number. As I told you before, there is trading opportunities in anything from coffee to stocks to options to to yields and bonds, and you can invest in these bonds that aim for the long-term interest rates. And that will most likely just continue up. I'm pretty sure that we will see very, very high interest rates over the next 12, maybe 24 months ahead, as inflation has to be controlled. Interest rates is the only thing. So there is several instruments more than just stocks. Anyway, we will quickly look at the charts to see if this match up. So what are the conclusions for from the fundamental things? From the fundamental things, we know things are very low. It's a huge chance that things will bounce up. We know that there will be very exciting Wednesday numbers that can affect the market. There will even be some numbers on Friday for the import index numbers. And during week, there will be a lot of Q results. None of them are so big that I think they will affect the market very negative. It's not Apple or Microsoft or anything like that. Disney, of course, is huge enough, but in general, I don't think they will affect the market. So then you are left with Ukraine conflict and other possible things. And sadly, that conflict is still one of the key drivers for what will happen in the market. But let's look at the chart. And if you go and watch the YouTube video, I'll try to put the link in the descriptions, make it easier for you. You will see more or less the same thing like fundamental. Nasdaq been falling and falling, fell down to 12,000. It did exactly what I said. If the 12,500-600 support was broken, you could expect it to fall very fast downwards to 12,000. This is the support level. It's also the support from the bottom of the trend. And we are in a situation where you can expect markets to bounce up. Didn't happen last week. It's a little bit higher chance that it will happen this week, but it will only be short-lived. Because if we look on the upside, there is so much resistance. First resistance started at 12,500 points, later from 12,700 all the way up to 14,000. There is such huge amount of resistance that the chance for the market to go as high as 14,000, it is present, but it has to be something reassuring the world that things will slowly go back to normal. That means that there has to be some peace talk around Ukraine. That means that the inflation numbers actually has to come in where they are expected, because if they come in above, we will have further fall. So what are the two things? In my opinion, there is a greater chance that we will have an up bounce, a short up bounce, maybe just for a few days. Could be a full week, could be a full month, I don't know yet. It's a greater than fall, but if Nasdaq falls below 12,000, it can fall very fast down to 10,000. And repeat myself once again, as I said, it's a fair chance that Nasdaq will go down all the way to 8,000 points. I don't see that we are finished with the huge falls at any time. We're just talking for the week ahead of us. My opinion, if 12,000 is broken, we will have a very ugly fall. Could be 11,500 low. On the upside, the best case scenario is that we get some very good news. Nasdaq bounces up and may even touch 13,000. It's not very highly likely, but maybe 12,700, but 13,000 high. So 11,500, 13,000 should be the room where Nasdaq move during the week. Personally, I think that by the end of the week, we will see Nasdaq somewhere around 12,500. So again, I will be slightly positive. I tell you, it will be a very volatile week, much up and down, but I see very strong chances that markets will have a rebound. That means that many shares will go extremely well because a lot of shares have been hammered a lot. Will not do much more. You can have a look for yourself. Type in the ticker X, see the chart, or go to YouTube and you will see the chart as I see it. And you will see that the relative strength index is very low. There is sell signals from the short-term moving average, long-term moving average. The relation between these two average and Nasdaq is within the falling trend. So everything overall looking more than a week is negative. But I think there is a fair chance that we'll have a bounce up yet a week. So I remain positive for a short-term swing up. We are very soon getting to the trading tips, so stay tuned. Remember, if you are at YouTube and you're listening to this and you think I'm very, very wrong, I would love to see your comments arguing what you think is a good thing to discuss. I might be very wrong. And I know there's a lot of smart people out there, even better than me in understanding how market moves. So make sure to put in your comments. Now, we will quickly run through a few shares, try to see where they are. And last week I was close again for Apple, Microsoft, not so close for Tesla. But we will just run through them, and I will give you the trading tips of this week. Usually what happens when markets are red, you get in a bad mood. And very often you make even worse trading decisions because you get this negative aspect of things. And it's fairly common, it's fairly easy. And if you know a little bit about it, you are able to change it. When you are in either too optimistic mood or pessimistic mood, the very best thing you can do is look at the chart and just let the charts tell you what is most likely to happen. Try to learn technical analysis. It's an amazing tool. And I will quickly run through Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, Bitcoin, and Dogecoin. And we will see how we are. Last week, I was a little bit too optimistic, but actually very close. I had Apple at 160, came in at 157.28. Microsoft at 280, came in at 274. And if you remember back, I told you I thought things would be somewhat unchanged, and these prices are actually more or less the same as the start of the week, and I gave you a reasoning. Anyway, we will quickly run through the charts, starting with Apple, and by doing so, I will also try to teach you a few things to look for. What we can see in general is that Apple is in a slight falling trend. It has sell signals from the long-term moving average and the short-term moving average. It is very low on the relative strength index, looks very much like the Nasdaq chart, and of course it's natural because Apple in many ways represent the markets as such. It's not at the bottom of the trend, the volume is going in the opposite direction, doesn't follow the price as it should, but it's in general higher than lately. That reminds me a little bit about a possible sell-off. We are getting new investors that will aim for this being up. The most important thing is that Apple remain above 150, because it falls below 150, it should fall very fast. Support is shown in our charts as gray bars. It's where people bought and sold shares, and we can see that if we go above, it's a lot of resistance from 163 up to 167. There is some at 68, 170, 175, and a little bit just before 180. If we look down, we will see that there is some support at 155 and later at 150. And these things are important because it tells you a little bit about the risk and reward. So we know that if Apple go up, it will face a lot of resistance. There will be a lot of people waiting to sell to secure the profit. If stocks start to fall, there is very little people to pick it up, so it can fall very fast. And for a week as such, there is a chance that on a very bad day, we can see Apple down to 148, which will be the bottom of the trend. On a very good day, I don't manage to see Apple crawl through all the resistance between 163 and 168 dollars. It might crawl some way up around 165, 167. But I think that the resistance will be too hard. The most likely scenario for the week ahead of us is that Apple will try to push up, struggle with resistance at 160, and then really struggle around $163, fall a little bit back. And by the end of the week, it will remain somewhat the same. Last week I had a target of 160, and I just think I will keep that target. The things to draw out from this is very little support below. That increases the risk, and just keep it in your mind, because if we get into a red start or a very red day, very little support means very fast fall downwards. Should you buy right now? Of course, you can buy with the opportunity for a short-term gain. swing trade. Should you sell right now? Well, we know that there is very little support below, but at the same time, a good chance to go up. So I wouldn't say that. You will keep a trailing stop loss. And this is just how you play the game. There is no real obvious buy situation in Apple. It's okay, but not like a very good one. But if we look 3 weeks ahead, this might very well be a nice opportunity. We don't know. What we do know, it is very little support below, meaning it can fall very fast below $150. Given the right circumstances, if it goes up, it should go somewhat slow. It should move only faster if breaking $167. So for the week as such, Apple will remain unchanged, target at $160. Going quickly through Microsoft and just let's plow through everything. We see somewhat the same. We can see that Microsoft is closer to the bottom of the trend. It's also in a falling trend. So for the long term, we can expect Microsoft to continue to fall. Same scenario as Apple. There is not so much support below. It's some support around 270 and the bottom of the trend at 268. If this is broken, you can expect further fall. Volume doesn't follow the stock nicely, I would say. And this is always a little bit tricky. Maybe you can say some of the same things like Apple, that there is a little bit more volume than usual, and that it can indicate further change. Sell signals from the short-term moving average, the long-term moving average. Relative strength index is 47. It's neither high, neither low. It can fall back below 25. For the week as such, all I can say is very huge resistance above, so any movements upward should go slow. It might open on a green day, it might open strong, but during day you should see the resistance level tick in, and the stock should struggle. With little support below, the risk is the same. Last week I had a target for $280 for Microsoft, and I've seen so many charts over all these years that for me it looks like 50-50 that we are going up during this week, maybe a little bit more than 50-50, simply because we are close to the bottom and the overall situation of the market. So I think that I will keep the target for Microsoft at 280. Will be the third week that I keep 280 target. And you may wonder, so I am starting to get positive to Microsoft again? No, I'm just waiting for a temporary upturn, because usually stocks move within a trend, going from bottom to top or to the middle. In this case, I'm aiming for the middle, that at some point during the next few weeks can see Apple up around $290 before it continue down, and even further down than 250. The last ticker before we'll look at Bitcoin and Dogecoin will be Tesla. And Tesla is a nice stock indeed. We see somewhat the same like we see in Apple and Microsoft. Tesla even closer to the bottom of the trend. Last week I told you that I would buy Tesla because I think it's a fair chance to get a reward. I bought Tesla at $855 on Monday. It went up as it should, but Tesla is a very volatile stock with huge movements. Did exactly like it was supposed to do, and I managed, even being caught by stop loss when it started to fall, I managed to do 5.73%. But we will get back to these numbers. So I think we will see a repetition of what we saw last week. This level should give a buying opportunity. I think that we might bounce back up to the same level, 950, maybe as high as 1,000. Relative strength index is 34, very close to being oversold. I think it's an opportunity to buy Tesla now with relative low risk, because at the downside there is more support than in, for instance, Microsoft and Apple. Support at 840, 830, and a lot at 800, later 750. But it's a more volatile stock, meaning that everything is also bigger in terms of percentages. So it might have more support, but it's further down in percentage to the bottom. But in general, I like a little bit more what I see in Tesla, and I think it's such a fair chance that we will get back to 1,000 before it continues down again. It will be interesting to follow. And I can just reveal once again, for next week, I will buy Tesla today. It will be one of the trading tips. The others I will tell you very shortly. But enough about Tesla. Looks okay to me. The target for the week as such, I think actually I will increase it and say that for the week as such, last week I had 940. Sorry, I'll decrease it a little bit and be a little bit more realistic and have $920 as target. It's still many percentages up from today. And this is the end of the week target. So I expect during week to maybe see Tesla as high as 1,000. I think it will be a volatile week for Tesla. Let us just wrap this up and get to the trading tips. I will do so by looking at the crypto, and I told you if Bitcoin fall below 36,000, the support at 37.38, it should fall very fast downwards. And sadly that happened, and that is not by any means any good news for Bitcoin. Last time I bought Bitcoin was at $30, and it might be $30,000, and it might just be the same thing, that it will go down to 30 and pick up support. The biggest problem about Bitcoin now is that huge resistance above that will make it so hard to crawl upwards. There has to be something extremely special to turn the markets, flip the markets to something amazing. We have to have an end to the war, and there has to be some birds flying in the sky. It has to be something super amazing, because everything is indicating further falls for stock and further falls even for the crypto. With all the resistance above, things starts to look very bad. It's almost turning into the pressure. But we also know that when things are at the very darkest, there usually is opportunities and things may change. Will Bitcoin manage to crawl up from 37,000? I don't know. I don't just know that it's very close to being oversold on the relative strength index, down at 33. Sell signals, short-term moving average, long-term moving average, and the relation between the two averages is also a sell signal. Volume increased on the last fall, and that is called a divergence. And usually you will have a little bounce up from that level. Since I believe markets will be green this week, and it's so hard to say exactly where Bitcoin will end by the week, I will have a target for 36,000 for Bitcoin. And we will finish this small session with DogeCoin. But before leaving Bitcoin, so I was very positive and very sure about Bitcoin going up. So I was right when it was from 30,000 up to 50,000, 48,000 high, and was mistaken. The fall from 47 was very obvious, but it didn't pick up from 40,000. Many then have two choices. Either stick to the old belief that we will have Bitcoin back to $75,000, moving to 50, then to 60, 70, and 100, or is the game over for Bitcoin? Then we are talking again about more bigger items, because you have to think, so what will the future hold? Is Bitcoin just a hype? It might very well be. But will we continue with the same currency that we have? Will we continue with euro in Europe, USD in United States, Norwegian kroner in Norway, and Swedish kroner in Sverige? Or will we slowly, bit by bit, move to a centralized payment? And will the payment be digital, like for cryptos? Or will we go back to money? It's very obvious to me that things will change, and I think that crypto in general has a future. It means that if we look in a very long perspective, I think that the things that are happening to, for instance, Bitcoin now, It's taken by a very, very negative market. It's taken about all the things that is happening in the world. Where it will end, very hard to say. If this is a super buying opportunity at 34,000 or if it will fall down to 10,000. Impossible. Easy come, easy go. Anyone that was at Bitcoin when it was $100 made it all the way up to 65,000 high. Have half the money now, down at just above 30. Can go up, can go down. It's so hard to say. When trading, you have to understand that you cannot be correct about everything. So you try to have at least a few items. Either it's a few digital cryptos, or you do a little in crypto, a little in stock, a little in bond, a little bit in other items. But let's go to DogeCoin and then get to the trading signals. Dogecoin is the same thing. The one thing that I said about Dogecoin, I really like to see the volume getting back to Dogecoin. It means that it's a trading opportunity. Now it's just reacting back together with Bitcoin. And it looks okay to me. My last trade was done at 20 cents. I am in very deep losses. Before that, I did 20 to 40. So I have plenty of profit from previous trades in Dogecoin to make up for the current losses. But Dogecoin is shitcoin. It moves up a lot and it doesn't take much. It takes just a tweet or two and we can push Dogecoin up. Some support at 11, some at 12 cents. If 10 and 11 is broken, you should just see a continuous fall downwards. And you may wonder, so why didn't I sell? First off, this is a lottery ticket. I put in money which I don't expect any return on anytime soon in different items. A few of them are penny stocks, some are crypto, and these are things that I play in a longer vision and game. Endgame. Is Dogecoin a good buy now? Yeah, I think so. I think there is a fair chance to get a good reward. If you don't pay too much commissions, you should be able to do a swing trade in Dogecoin as is for the week. As such, I will not be surprised if Dogecoin ends somewhere around 13, 14 cents, going a little bit up. Everything else is negative. Sell signals, short-term moving average, long-term moving average, relative strength index is 46 and slightly moving upwards. We are at the very end. In this very, very last section, I will give you my trading tips. Before doing that, I have for several months been thinking about changing the podcast a little bit because I get a few messages, a few mails from users, and some of them is, of course, they want to trade together with me. So I'm working on a plan, maybe starting up the new series of podcasts where we will start with a given amount of money. I'll not make the biggest one, but something that anyone can follow. Give you exact instructions. What I do doesn't mean that it will be a success, but at least you will know exactly what I do and how I do it. Because last week I made very good money and I think I will make money this week. But you will know. Just stay tuned for the last session, the trading tips. Last week, very volatile week. Markets were down, but I was up. Week 17 became the first week in months where I had to take a loss, but as I told you last week, I thought I could regain in week 18, and I did. I gave you 3 trading tips: Amazon, Tesla, and Encore, and I was especially occupied about Encore being the one that could yield some nice percentages, while the others I was just hunting for smaller percentages. So what I did is I bought on Monday, just the same like I will do today, for the trading tips that I give you. I tried to find the very low position during the day. I uses a few special techniques, looking at volume, etc., trying to determine when is the low point. I usually don't manage to hit the exact bottom, but very often I'm somewhat close. So on Monday, I bought Amazon at $2,381. I was looking for anything from 2 to 5% because I thought that could be a realistic move upwards. And Amazon did exactly that. It pushed upwards. It went to some $2,528 or $30, then started to go down. Amazon is not a typical volatile stock, so I had a trailing stop loss for Amazon, which was triggered when the stock was falling down. It was triggered at $2,448, giving me 2.81% profit. Tesla did the exact same thing, and for Tesla I have a wider stop loss, just so it's said, because Tesla is more volatile. I got Tesla at 855, and it didn't take very long before Tesla started to move. It was up at 940, almost 50, I think, high. I had a very wide stop loss, which was cut at 904, giving me 5.73% profit. And you may ask, so why didn't you sell at 948? And I promised to give you more background on when to sell. Last week I told you to use volume, but I also have told you several times that running a business, building up a business is more important than sit trading all the day. I don't have the time for it. I'm working on automated. I'm working on different boots, different signals. We will come with that also for you, because I simply cannot sit and watch the screen. So what I do is I usually use trailing stop loss. It only follows the stock up, never down. I usually set it in percentages, sometimes in dollars, but mostly in percentages. And I use the true range value, or in other words, the volatility, to determine how wide it should be, because I don't want it to be cut by a natural swing during the day. Some stocks move only 2% during a day, like Amazon doesn't move much during a day, while Tesla can move very much during a day. So I have a trailing stop loss because you never know. Tesla could have gone to $1,200. Last time I was running Tesla was from $560, and it worked all the way up to $1,200. So you can imagine the profit I had then. But for last week, it was that short-term obvious swing that I had. And for this week, I will do the same. I will buy Tesla again because I think Tesla will push up. So I will look how the opening will be. I will look at things to try to determine when that exact buying point will be today. I can tell so far that it seems to be a red opening. So it might be that I buy Tesla very early and will sit during the week. I will put on a new trailing stop loss because I think that Tesla will just move up. But Tesla was sold with 5.73% profit. I could have had almost 8% in total, 8-9%. But I am super happy with 5.73%. And then there is Amcor, AMCR, which I told you can move a lot. I got that at 1161. Started also very, very nicely. It was up at some 1324 maybe. Fell a little bit back, but not enough to break my trailing stop loss. Currently at 1281. So Amazon was sold by trailing stop loss. Tesla was sold by trailing stop loss. Amcor is still not sold. It's up 10.38. If it falls a little bit more, it will be cut by stop loss. But no matter what, this trade will be positive for me. So these were last week's trade. Very happy with them. All of them in pluses. And in a red market, that is usually what you want. And I think I have that feeling that this week will also be good. But it's a little bit about managing to get into that good buy. So here are the 3 trading tips for this week, because I don't think that you should go into Amcor as is. Even though it's open, I don't think that you should go in there. For this week, I will take some very steady, strong candidates. I will not hunt for the biggest percentages. I will hunt more to be safe. Because as I told you last week, and even the week before, when markets are extremely volatile, it offers you such a good trading opportunity. At the same time, you can be smart and not invest into the most risky stocks. I would love, and I most likely will, buy more Somerica, which is down at 24 cents. But this stock may very well fall to 18, 19 cents because it is extremely volatile. It's penny stock and all these things. So in a situation where you really don't know, markets, buy signals, everything is low, things can collapse. We can have another 5% day loss, even 8%. They might even close the stock exchange. You don't know when things are as scary as they are now. Could go both ways. Could be that 6% up in a single day. All I know is volatile. And having some, I would say, stronger stocks gives you better chances. One of the things talking about strong stocks is having enough liquidity. That means that there is enough volume in the stock to get in and out as you want, because the gaps are usually very high in less liquid stocks. Tesla looks very, very nice to me, so I will get Tesla. The other stock is eBay. I think eBay has turned, has bottomed out. I will just quickly let me show you the charts. This is why you should watch the video at YouTube as well. So we will quickly just have a look at the chart. If you're listening on Spotify, I will try to tell you what I see. And I will just repeat what I said for the analysis. Tesla is at the bottom of a rising trend, and I think that it might go up. Very good support where it is. Resistance at 900, later 950, and then 1000. So I'm trading on the idea that this is the bottom. I wish the volume was following the stock a little bit better, but that's the idea for Tesla. And I really don't think that on the very best day it can go to 1000. That could give me some 10 plus percentages, but I'm more for that 5 percentages. And what about eBay? Why do I want to go into eBay? Well, we see something, the same thing, but here is even more better. We see volume falling very hard. eBay fell from 55 down to $48 on very, very strong volume. The volume increased enough, and that is a classical sell-off. And after a sell-off, you have a rebound up. Usually the rebound is 1/3 or 2/3 of the fall. So if the fall was from 55 to 48, that means $7, meaning that it should go up. We divide 7 by 3, so it means that it should go up, let's say, either $2.3 or $4.6. So 48 plus 2.3, that will give me just above 50. It's currently at 48.81. So I think, and that will make 3% or something like that. So I think that is very likely, even though it went up on Friday, relative strength index is super low. This will be a classic rebound. Risk reward, very, very nice in my opinion. At the bottom of the trend, like anything, it's a risk. If I'm lucky, it goes 2/3. If it goes 2/3, it will go up about $4.50 for $60 from 48 will bring us up to $52, and that will give me a 7 to 10% gain depending where it is. So eBay is that second stock which I will buy. So far you know that I will get into Tesla, I'll get into eBay, and I will try to get them. I will see how things open. The last stock I will get into is Expedia. And looking at the chart, because I love charts, we see something, the same thing like we see in eBay. Extreme sell-off, stock is falling very far from 180 down to 130. Volume is increasing extremely much on the first fall, then it continues to fall. Volume is going down, relative strength index is oversold. It might be it will fall to 100, you never have any idea, but this is a classic sell-off. Totally oversold on the relative strength index. If I'm lucky, I will have some panic in the opening of the market today. People will do some very nice sell-off. I might be able to, let's say, I might even be able to get Expedia at 120. And I'm pretty sure that I will see Expedia up to around 140, 150. And that will be such nice percentages. So there you have them, 3 stocks. Tesla, eBay and Expedia, and I've given you the reasoning why I will buy this stock. And you do understand that everything can go south. It can be total catastrophic. It can be 5% down tomorrow or Wednesday. I have no guarantee, but these are the ones I buy. And we will finish off this thing explaining a little bit more. So you hear me say, I will wait for the opening. I will see how it opens. If I see a steady fall in the markets, I know that there might be a closer bottom. There are a few things. Usually markets start off very red, have a tendency to turn a little bit better. It's very seldom that they just continue downwards. Sometimes they do, but the general rule is that very often we see that change around 10 o'clock New York time for New York Stock Exchange and Nasdaq, where things starts to turn. There are some special times where things starts to happen during a day. So that's another technique I use trying to find that bottom. I also use stop loss. Support levels. So in the case, let's just take Expedia as a case. Right now it's some $130. Let me check it. It's $132. I know there will be some support at 130, later 125 and 120. So I will watch the opening. I will watch how it moves down towards 120. If it shows any sign of bouncing up from 125, I go in at 125. If I see that the volume direction, everything is very steady, I know that 120 will be good, or 130. So these are techniques that I use, trying to figure that bottom, where the bottom is. I'm not occupied on finding the exact bottom. I'm just trying to do somewhat okay. So that is how I will buy all these three stocks. For the selling part, again, this week will be a busy week. I will not be able to follow. So I will dig further into the trailing stop loss for these things, see what are the right percentages. After I buy the stock, I start to see how it a little bit behaves. I give it some 5, 10, 15 minutes, maybe even a little more before I actually put the trailing stop loss, because I need to see some movements. And Tesla, I know, is very volatile, so I will keep a very big stop loss. Most likely it might be 10%, meaning I'm willing to risk to lose 10% because it will be cut by 10%. For these other two, I also expect high volatilities. I might have a higher trailing stop loss. As stock, if I'm very correct and things starts to move up, that we will see a short-term bottom, I keep an eye on the stock. I have a wide trailing stop loss in the beginning. And if I see a nice moving pattern up and I see things stabilize, I might shorten the trailing stop loss to get even more. In the meantime, I work, I go with friends, I drink coffee. I don't sit looking at the screen 24/7. I don't have the time. The trailing stop loss will do the work for me. Did it last week, did it all single weeks before. And that is just how I will play the game. Now, let's wrap up the podcast. I hope that you leave your comments. Tell me what you think. Is there anything that you want me to explain? Just write a comment in the YouTube video, of course. And I will try to answer, because this podcast I only have one goal. For more than 100 podcasts, the goal has been the exact same. It's the same thing with our webpage, StockInvest.us. More than 200,000 people use our webpage. It's very simple. We want to help you increase your gains and reduce your losses. That's the whole game. If I can make you make money or reduce your losses, I am super happy. That is why I take all the time to try to explain why these podcasts sometimes get a little bit longer than they should be, because I want to pick up all of you, even though it's very common knowledge, some of it, trying to understand, and hopefully bit by bit you start to see a bigger picture. You start to trade your plays better, because it might not be tomorrow's trade that will be the good one. We want all future to be better than the history if you have been on a losing streak. So comment and I will answer. Anyway, I wish you a very, very good week. I hope it will be a game week, and I hope you will have a nice and peaceful week, and we will speak in just a week. So